Go for it. Go for it. Welcome, Doncaster East football lovers. I tell you what, it's season 2020 and it's been a drainer, I can tell you that. But how better to be entertained than to talk about everything is your heart and soul, the Doncaster East Lions. My name's Ben Warren Smith. I'm joined with Pete Sousby. We are going to have a lot of fun this year on what is known as Pride of the East.
Hey Benny, how are you, mate? Great to be sitting next to you. This is something we've been talking about for a few years. Obviously with the coronavirus and stuff like that, we've had time to put it together. We've got a great setup here in my lounge room. Hopefully we get to the club when we're allowed in there. But we thought this would be a great idea. Known each other for 20 years. Yeah. Love the Donny East Footy Club. Love footy. We've got a few good stories we'd tell about each other. We probably won't. But it's just an idea we've had, and I'm really happy we're running it. And we're going to get it going all year. And hopefully we're going to have sponsors on, players. Mightn't even be players sometimes, different people from different walks of life, but we hope to entertain people, and it's just something different and something we thought we'd try and see how we go.
Everyone's been fanging for something to do with football, so we're going to lead the way in the Eastern Football Netball League, and that is the biggest competition in Australia, so which means the world as well. We're going to be here. We're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Appreciate the warm cuppa from your lovely wife Alex there, Pete. Yep. So. Ooh, bit burny on the back of the throat there, but that's right. Look, it's going to be fun. We're going to talk to sponsors, coaches, players. We're going to have some fun segments. We've got another show that we're going to do as well, which we'll keep that little one up our sleeve. But I tell you what, I'm pumped. Like you said, we've known each other for 20 years. You've played at Beverly Hills. You played right through your whole career at Doncaster East as well. Kicked a few on the left from 50. You've told me multiple times. Played 200 plus games. You hit the 200, didn't you?
Yeah. We'll keep going. 270. But,
wowza! Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for that one.
Should have written that down.
And your dad with and his sponsorship, David Sousby and Walsh and White, like your brother Mick, who
149 games, Mick.
149. Ooh, I bet he pulled out on a weak one too throughout that.
Probably a Friday with you.
I tell you what, and look, I didn't play at Doncaster East, but I lived down the road, so it's just the best club to come up and hang out with. And when you got so many mates there, and it's just been such a fun place to be for 20 years. We're old now.
Yeah, really. That's right. And it's funny, people don't know, Benny played a lot of footy himself up until you were about 20, I think, and then your passion was always commentating. I remember we would sit next to each other on the bus on the way home and you'd commentate and do things like that. I think the Year 10 or Year 9 video was a commentary video, and we all thought that you're going to go to the AFL and that, but you chose better to go to the AFL and commentate. 100%. And maybe one day Doncaster East full time. That's what we're hoping.
Ooh, wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't that be good?
I don't know.
Is some of the sponsors around here tonight listening to that one?
Hopefully we can get Steve in and ask him that from Phoenix Tapware. He'll be our first sponsor. We've also got an exciting show today. We're going to speak to our head coach Steve Buckle and as well as Micah Stevens.
Is he playing again?
He's going again, retired his last 5 years. But I've got a funny story when we interview him about how I get him every year to go again. But it's not going to be about this year. It's going to be about their careers. And, you know, Bucksy just got named in the lead of the 7th best local coaching since 2000, which is a huge effort. We're lucky to have him. So we'll ask him questions, but it's going to be not just about footy as well.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit of fun and a bit to get to know people as well, because, you know, we all, someone is like when we talk Bucksy, we hear his stats as a coach, and he talks and he breathes the club and he represents that way. But let's wind the clock back a little bit on Bucksy and see how he went about things. Because I tell you what, he was a decent footballer.
Absolutely, and we like the fact that you and him had a bit of inside info going into his coaching appointment and his interviews, which I sat on many years ago. Bucksy and Micah are both gems, actually brother-in-laws. People probably don't know that, but it's going to be interesting to interview them and have a chat to them too.
It's going to be a fun show. The Pride of the East is what it's called, and it's episode 1 of a gazillion. So it's just going to keep on rolling. We're going to get our first guest in, and we can't wait for this one as well.
Yep. Our first guest is going to be Steve Buckle, as we said. Have a chat to him. Look at our sponsors behind us, a few up there. These are all our
Call a few of them out while we're sitting here.
Phoenix Tapware, we'll speak to Steve. Porter Davis, Steve Tanky's done a mountain of work. Lowther Builders, our gun back pocket, Jazz Lowther, vice captain, Flora Extra, Doncaster Volkswagen, we've got Doncaster Land Rover, we've got too many people with money at our footy club, all these car brands. Highway Tractor Spares, get on them, that's my father-in-law's.
Beautiful.
There's a few here, we'll go through them all, and I'm sure we'll get a few up during the year and have a chat to them. As I said, hopefully we're at the footy club sooner rather than later, but my lounge room will do it for the moment.
Who got front and centre in the middle? Was that a rocks, paper, scissors challenge? Like, how was that done?
Alfie Molinaro, the great man Alfie, he organised this, so I think they just put it here, there and everywhere, because I can assure you Walsh and Whitelock wouldn't be up there if I had anything to do with it.
You can't even see it on the camera, I don't think, either, so it's not in the greatest of spots,
exactly
but I'm sure I'll get plenty of mentions and none at the less.
We've been pretty lucky with sponsors in an odd year, and obviously when the season, hopefully we get up and going, we'll have a chat to them and see exactly where we stand in that side of things.
Yeah, let's talk about that just briefly, right? Yeah. So let's the season, everyone's hanging on. What's happening? And I'm getting asked a lot of questions as well, but I don't know. You're a club president. Your ears to the ground a lot. We saw your story written by Dan Sensick in the Leader newspaper, and where you sort of felt about the situation. But nearly 2 weeks on, well, it is 2 weeks on now. Where are we sitting? Are we playing?
So Doncaster East really do want to play. That's a given. And my concerns were not about... This virus is a big thing, so I'm not going to take that I'm taking that very serious. So obviously if the government say we can't play, obviously we need to look at all the protocols. But there's a few people coming out to the media, and I spoke to you about saying to call the season off now for Eastern Football League. My concerns were, if we call it off now, bye to all our good players. Not just Donny East. I'm concerned for the EFL. Yeah. I mean, of course I'm concerned. I mean, people will go to me, you're concerned. Yes, we've recruited a lot of good, high-quality players. But you think about it. We close Northern Footy League, argument stake set up. I don't care. Even if there's no salary cap, blokes will want to have a kick at the footy. I know when I was young and fitter, definitely would want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, so that was my concern. I just thought clubs had to think there's a bigger picture than just calling the season off.
Yep.
You won't have a club in 2021, I can assure you, because it doesn't matter. Our club has got the best blokes you'll ever meet. We're going to speak to one, Micah Stevens. But if there's a chance to go have a kick of footy, something you love, you would have to consider it. Maybe you won't, but you'll consider it. That was my concern. And that was my huge... And then they obviously asked you a few other questions. Dan did a really good interview with me, but, some people take it out of context. What you say that I don't care about on clubs, I do. But
of course you do.
You've got to be...
But you've got to look after your own as well. It's like your family.
Look after your own, but I know how much our community needs it. I speak to guys like Alfie. Poor Alfie's mum's really crook. I speak to Peter Jackson. I speak to players. I know how much we need it, and I'm passionate about that. Once again, and I stress, if the government don't allow it, then no one plays. That's absolutely fine. I totally understand that, but I just didn't want us as a competition to call it off too early, which I've spoken to Troy, and my hat goes off to Troy and Dyson. Really does. They do a great job, and they're getting a lot of clubs giving them different opinions. I speak to Troy a lot. So I've actually spoken to a few of the Premier Division, and it's a bit of a mixed bag, but speaking to Casey, the president of Blackburn, never met him, really enthusiastic about the season going ahead. But we want to see how, if there's no crowds, community sport, it's not community sport, how will that work?
Yeah.
We want to get 500, that's our key. But it has to be government ticked off. We can't do it otherwise. That's where I'm passionate about. There's a lot of things a lot of water to go under the bridge, as they say, but I really hope we can get up and going for the community.
Yeah.
Not about the Doncaster East Footy Club, about the community.
Yeah, and Victoria as a whole and other states as well. Everyone loves their football. Yeah. And just even that, God forbid, the cricketers have given some leeway as well. It's gone out to November. So all of a sudden you've got that extra 5 weeks, 6 and 7 for other divisions. So we could start things back. You could do a shortened season. You could do lots of things as well.
Absolutely. There's that opportunity, and that's why I just said we just sit up. We don't have to call it now. Some clubs want us to. Let the boys train. They're going to start training Tuesday. We've just got to get signed off by the council, which will happen. Start Tuesday. It looks like in 20s, which is a lot easier. We'll set that up. Let them train. And if the season gets called off, it gets called off. We've tried everything we can, but it's bigger than footy, I guess. But at the same time, I think the government do have to understand how big community sport is as well, and how much we need it. I read the Norwoods coach, Marty Pasquier, in an interview yesterday, and he was saying, you go to shopping centres and Bunnings, And I went to Eastleigh Monday.
It's out of control.
There was people everywhere, standing on top of you. You've got to get it right. You've got to have COVID officers walking around. You've got to make sure the place is clean. Maybe your 19s play at the opposition's ground. And to be honest, that's a real pain for our footy club. But we'll do what it has to take to get up and going.
Yep.
So there's different ways we can look at it. I just thought you throw your hands up and say it's too hard. I think we've got to look at it. And I understand clubs are going to be in financial difficulties. We may, but we don't know. We haven't been told about salary caps or anything like that. So until I hear that, until I see it, until it's in concrete, then make a decision.
Yep, absolutely. Spot on. Do you feel like there's a death knock coming at some point? Because time's ticking by. All of a sudden it's winter.
They meet on Monday, all the competition, so we'll know more then.
Okay.
We're hoping it gets up and going. As I said, we really do as a club. I think the community needs it, and I can't stress that enough. It's not about me. It's not about the players we've recruited or because we've come off 2 flags. Obviously, we're in Premier Division the first time. We're excited about that. That's no, and there's definitely no questions asked about that. We're really excited. We've had a couple of years. I think Sam Rose, our curse actually, recruited him 8 years ago. And he hasn't played a game. No, he hasn't played a game in 2 years. Good poor old Sammy. He's keen to go. So we just want to get out there. As I said, it's about the club community, and that's all around different sports as well, not just footy.
How have you kept the players engaged through this time as well?
Yeah, we've got text messages on. Bucksy has been really
like WhatsApp
good.
Groups or something like that?
Yeah, WhatsApp group. Whitey, Simon White's been really good in that regard too. And I haven't said too much to players in regards to contracts and that because we don't know yet. So what's the use? I don't want to say to them, this is how it is, because I actually don't know. Yeah. So I haven't gone too early. Whitey and that, speak to them, and the boys, the guys that live in Richmond, that they've been training together. Brunswick, they train together. A few guys out this way have trained together, so they're staying in touch. They're all really close mates. I mean, when you win 2 flags together, it's hard not to, and even the new guys have really fitted in well. So we're excited because we've obviously never been in Premier Division before, so that's why we're trying to do everything we can to help the competition get up and going.
The universe is trying to make it hard, but it's coming, it's close, we can smell it, and we can't wait to get out on it.
We've been pretty unlucky the last few years. Well, when I say unlucky, we've won 2 premierships, but to get to Premier Division, it's been a bit of a... But I'm sure we'll get there. One day we'll play Vermont at Zerbies, I'm sure.
The world is turning to a new way, and the old normal's not going to be the new normal, but we need our football back, and we can't wait to see the players back out on the park wearing the Mighty Lions jumper. So it's not too far away, mate.
Let's hope, Benny.
Well, next on the Pride of the East is what is going to be one of our favourite segments. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And it is our spectacular sponsors segment. Pete, gotta love the sponsors, don't you?
Absolutely.
It's and I'll tell you what, and we're starting off with a bang tonight as well. Phoenix Tapware tonight, and we're joined by Steve Jackson, the Managing Director. And I tell you what, if you're renovating, you need some furniture, you need some tapware, you need some shower accessories, or accessories at all, come on down, get online. We all do it now. That's all we do pretty much now is online. Order some stuff down at Phoenix Tapware. Steve, tell us about your involvement and why you came down to the greatest football club in the land, Doncaster East.
Well, we're now a major sponsor down here, and we want to give back to the local clubs and the grassroots. And this was a great opportunity to get in and get with one of the better clubs in the league. So.
One of the better clubs or the best club?
The best club.
Good answer. Good answer there. And how did you come about finding Doncaster East? Have you got affiliation with the club? Do you've got some friends that are, etc.?
Oh, well, Glenn Bird's a friend who's been associated with the club for a long time, who introduced us to Steve Tankey, and we decided we'd be a sponsor.
Fantastic stuff, and a platinum sponsor as well, and it's a difficult year for the whole world. So we can't all just have a la about that, but just it's the support that you brought on the club this year. This is what actually makes clubs survive, by having sponsors even involved. Pete, you'd agree in such tough times.
Definitely, Benny, and guys like Steve, we were just having a chat before. It's a bit of an odd year for a sponsor, but we do appreciate. And obviously, as you said, our club doesn't run without sponsors. That's the way we get the club up and going. So we appreciate that. Steve, where did the company start, and how did you get involved in it?
The company started 31 years ago, and I was involved with Brian Wansborough, who passed away this year, but he was the founder of Gainsborough Door Hardware, how I got to know Glenn Bird. And I came on board 15 years ago when the business was struggling a bit, and we've developed it into quite a large company now. We're probably the largest individual brand in the industry, and our brand recognition is becoming number one in the industry. And we've grown from a small company of 4 million back then to a turnover about 60 million this year.
Ooh.
And we took a different track. We decided to focus on design, so we design everything that we sell. And I've got 7 full-time designers there, and everything is our designs. We don't have any designs that are off the shelf out of China or anywhere. And so they're all registered. We've won 11 awards, international awards, in the last 3 years. This year we won 4 international awards, and we won Best of the Best at the show at the Red Dot Award, which is an internationally recognised award. And one of our products won Best of the Best in the bathroom segment.
Which was
Axia. And
which
is a progressive cartridge type mixer.
Okay.
Tapware. And that show is actually where people like Ferrari and all those go and win awards. So it's not just open to the building segment, it's open to all industries. So we're pretty proud of that, and it's really given us a leap into, we're looking at international now, and you know, our business is 50% renovation, 50% builder and project. So we do major high-rise developments, apartments, builders. We supply a lot of larger builders, and most of the retailers in the country.
Yeah, okay. Would you say 31 years because you're an online business?
Well, no, we're not an online business. We sell through retailers.
You do as well. Okay, so yeah, you've got your brands out in particular retailers. Is there any of the big kahuna retailers that your products in that people would naturally going into that you want to call out to, just so we can get a look and feel of the product as well?
We're in Reece, TradeLink, all the Plumbing Plus stores, bigger stores. So all of the major stores, the Burdens, the Bournes, all of those. We sell through Bunnings, but we're not in Bunnings. We're that sort of, we're the mid to upper market product. So we sell through those guys, and then we sell to a lot of commercial guys like Harvey Norman Commercial in Victoria, New South Wales, and Reece on site, and TradeLink's commercial side. So that's how we sell through to the builders and the high-rise developments and that.
When you go to a friend's house or just anyone's house, do you like suss out the situation and go, "Oh, that's always terrible," or get stuck into them and why? That's not one of our products. What's going on?
Always check it out. It used to be door hardware. Now I check out their bathrooms.
Are you aligned to Porter Davis at all? Another big sponsor of the Doncaster East Footy Club.
We're working on them.
Working on them. Okay. Well, there's the message right there. Isn't it?
Steve Tanks.
Sort it out.
They do use some of our product that we do exclusively, because we also do OEM product or privately branded product for people like Reece and TradeLink and that. So they do use some of that, but it'd be nice to get some of our Phoenix branded product in there.
Fantastic stuff. And well, we don't know if the season's going to go ahead. Our fingers are crossed. Like, the universe is clearly against Doncaster East playing in Premier Division, but I reckon we're going to get out there this year. And it's great to have you on board, Steve, and Phoenix Tapware as well. Like we said, we've heard it from the man himself, the managing director. The best place to get anywhere, any of your needs when we're talking tapware, showerware, accessories and furniture accessories, the lot. You can order it online, but you can go in store and look at everything as well. All those major retailers, but not Bunnings, because, you know, Phoenix Tapware is above Bunnings, is like just what like Steve said. But we appreciate you coming on board, mate, and look forward to seeing you at the football.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Go
Steve.
Lions.
Go the Lions. It's Pride of the East time, and it's our second guest for the season, but it's our number one coach. Alex has put a fresh pot out on the stove, and he got his coffee, and Steve Buckle, the dual premiership coach of the Doncaster East Football Club, and ranked number 7 of the last 20 years of all football competitions. Welcome to Pride of the East tonight, Bucksy.
Thanks for having me, BWS. Good to be.
It's great to have you, mate, and I'll tell you what, you must be itching to get back out onto the park. It's like continuously, like, just everything's just against the boys playing in Premier Division. But we're in a pandemic. We're over the hump. We're coming down. And now I want to hear what you think is what you think might pan out for the rest of the season, what you hope to as well, and how the boys are actually looking, because I know you're one of the most engaged coaches across the land, and give us a little bit of an update.
Well, look, I think we all hope it's going to get off the ground and kick off, and we're all very, very hopeful that it is, and trying to keep our players as motivated as possible, and staying in contact with them as much as I can, and sending out group texts and trying to keep the boys engaged, and I suppose trying to keep that counteract with them all. But it's pretty tough. I won't lie. It's been we've struggled probably over the last sort of 6 weeks. I think guys have handled it pretty well, though. They have been getting in their groups now that we're allowed to, but we just don't know. It's running day by day at the moment. We just don't know where it's going to go, and we've just got to hold our breath and have fingers crossed and everything crossed, because I know it's not just the players and the coaches that want the season to get off the ground. We've got committee, the sports staff, obviously trainers and stuff, and obviously the local community wants the game to get off as well. So we can only sit back and hope, mate.
Trying to think of how many terminologies I can get you to say with the word and letters S in it tonight, mate. Because we'll call it out. We'll call it out early, so people aren't looking, going, "What's the matter with Bucksy tonight?" Been in a little bit of pain in the last few days.
Yeah, just got a tooth removed, but so I've got a mouth guard in. So yeah,
we'll just talk it.
Yeah. Well, she does wear the pants, but talking a little bit like Kenny Callender at the moment. Yeah. So. That's I'm all right though, mate. We're going well. Got it loaded up with the endone and the Penadine Forte, so hopefully whatever I say here makes sense.
Oh, the Penadine Forte.
Benny, let's move on from this year. Let's go on to Bucksy's journey and career.
Wind it back.
Exactly, wind it back. So, Bucks, we all know you as the coach of the Donny East Lions, but where did it start your footy career?
Look, I suppose at juniors it was a really young age, under 10s and under 12s at Heatherdale, and then sort of had to wrap it up there because I was playing basketball as well, and the old man and the old dear weren't on good terms, and it was either stay with basketball or play footy with a helmet, and back then I wasn't prepared to play footy with a helmet, so I had to toss the towel in on footy, and then came back playing footy in under 19s at St Leo's. Just went down and had a kick with a few mates, and just loved the place. And it was it wasn't a super high standard of footy. We're sort of sitting around
as Soggy tells you every day.
Every day. So we're sort of sitting around sort of C and D grade, and but we had some success down there, and it was great to play there. And I probably played 10, 11, 12 years down at St Leo's, and then got the chance and the opportunity to go up to Queensland and play some footy, and playing the quaffle up there, and went up to Redlands and played there with a couple of mates that all came up from Melbourne, and went up there and played 2 years, and that was a really good experience, and probably...
what was the footy like there, Redlands?
Yeah, it was very surprising. Yeah. We thought we were going to go up there and dominate, because all we'd heard is that Queensland's a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as the AFL goes, but surprisingly it was really, really competitive, and we shouldn't have been surprised really, because you're playing against some quality teams in Southport.
Guys get drafted from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Southport and Brisbane Lions reserves as well, and got teams like Mount Gravatt. So they've all got out ex-AFL players, Morningside and teams like that. So we were one of the Batman clubs, and that was one of the draw cards to go there and play, because we thought we could go up and have an impact. And try to bring one of these, I suppose, bottom-dwelling teams and try to get them up to be competitive. And by the time I left, stayed there for 2 years, and had a ball. You get to play on the Gabba and games there, so that was a good experience, and play a few curtain raisers to the AFL games. So that was great. But
with shenanigans up there, like talk about competitive on the field, it would have been competitive with you guys off the field.
Yeah, it was. It's a great climate and a great I suppose a great nightlife. I've been up in Bris Vegas as they call it. It's it's a good spot to live, and I'd move back there in a heartbeat, really, for not just for.
That's not a job interview for anyone.
Get your mitts off.
I just think it'd be a great place.
He's ours.
I think it'd be a great place to bring up a family. I think it's just a great climate. It agrees with myself, and it does agree with my wife and our family as well. So we loved our experience there, and it was great. And just a shame that we moved back. I got no regrets about moving back, but the year we moved back to the following year, they joined the NEFL, and that would have been a great experience in itself, which would have been them been playing, the Northern Territory Thunder and getting the chance to travel to Darwin and things like that as well, and obviously Sydney Uni and their and the Swans too. So it would have been a bit of travel there, which would have all been paid for the club, which would have been a great experience too. So
why did you come back?
My wife got married while I was up there, and my wife got pregnant and wanted to have that support network around with the family. So we moved back, and one of the boys that I brought up with me was playing at Heathmont before he came up, and that was one of the agreements that he said if he did come up and play when we did move back, then I'd have to go back and play at least 1 year there. And lo and behold, went back and played a year there, and I'm glad I did, because I'd never experienced football in the EFL. I'd only known the amateurs footy, and all I'd heard was in the EFL that it was a very arrogant league, because players get paid and.
Because no one gets paid in the amateurs.
Nobody gets paid in the amateurs, mate. Well, we didn't. I don't think I've even got a pair of socks ever bought for me or paid for. So I know it'd probably be different at other clubs, but in the higher divisions, but in the lower divisions, everything's paid for yourself. So, absolutely no regrets going to and experiencing the EFL and going to Heathmont, because it obviously opened up doors and experiences and led me to where I am now at obviously Doncaster East. I played 2 years at Heathmont. Second year ended up being playing coach, and that lasted 1.5 games before I did my knee, and then just coached the rest of the time at Heathmont. And then
where did your passion come from coaching, though? Because I remember you said that you weren't really that fond of it, or never thought of it. Was it when you went to Redlands, or was it when you went to Heathmont? Or?
Yeah, no, never really thought about it much until I did go to Redlands, and there was a bit of a coup to get rid of the coach up there. Yeah, I started. I always started Redlands. Yeah, stumpy. But yeah, no, it's and got a little bit of taste for it there, because I was one of the older guys up in Queensland, and there's a lot of young boys there, because we were basically a feeder club then for teams like the Lions and so forth. So got a bit of a taste of it there, and then when I came back to Heathmont, the coach there after the first year there, he was having twins and just couldn't put the time in. So the question was just put to me, and I thought, yep, why not? This is a bit no time like the present. So thought I'd have a go and have a crack, and first year sort of just coached the way that I thought it should be done, the way I'd been coached before. And I suppose we were just coming into that period where it was a crossover of old school coming into new school, and how you had to treat I suppose the kids and Gen Y of today. And the way I coached didn't really work in the first year, so we sort of ended up middle of the table and started to change a lot of things and treat guys a lot differently and engage a lot more, and did that and had success in the second year at Heathmont.
Yep. And, your mouth had a lot less soap put in it.
Yeah, absolutely. But had some success there, and
you won in extra time, didn't you?
We certainly did.
Epic game.
Weren't expected to win, which was a great game in extra time, and finished third on the ladder and ended up winning the flag. So that was good. And then spent 4 years there and put in the application to test myself at a higher level, and lucky enough to get the job at Donny East.
So let's go on to that job interview at Donny East. How much did you two speak? I sat on that to get a bit of insight and know exactly what I wanted to hear and others wanted to hear to get yourself the job.
No, I had a little bit to do with BWS down at Heathmont.
You can ask him how much me and him spoke.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that's probably a more pertinent question.
Exactly. Right.
Now look, it's obviously you were there, and it was pretty intimidating, because I'd never been in. I didn't have to interview for the role at Heathmont.
It was a big boardroom.
Yeah.
A few notes going down.
Yeah, huge, lots of notes. But it was never had to interview, so it was pretty daunting, and especially trying to put your resume in front of a club that you're coming from a 4th division, then 3rd, and then trying to go step up to a 2nd division club, and at the time, and it was pretty intimidating, but it must have had a few people.
He mentioned
one sitting here that believed in it. So
he mentioned BWS and Brad Bird. He had me. Two of my favourite people. No, and then obviously we the first year was pretty tough. I wouldn't say tough, but we probably didn't have the cattle, fair to say.
Yeah, I suppose it was almost a similar crossover to what I experienced at Heathmont in that first year. It was, I thought stepping up to a higher division, they'd be a little bit more open and responding to a little bit more harsher criticism. So I probably went back to style of coaching as I did in the first year at Heathmont. So I was a little bit harder on the guys, and lo and behold, that they didn't respond either. So we lost a few people after that first year, but what we gained, I think, outweighed what we lost.
Yeah.
And that just changed the whole momentum of the club. Yeah, it might have. It might have hurt us in the fact that we lost a couple, but the guys that we gained in Mika and Dogger and Tenno and Dibs as well.
Cogs.
Yeah, and Cogsy as well, and
Sacco.
Dolph. Yeah, Dolph and Sacco. Like guys like that, they might not have played. Like Sacco might not have played many senior games, but they were integral to the culture change, and it meant that I wasn't alone bringing my family down.
Yeah.
Mika started bringing his family down. Tenno was bringing his family down. I think then you felt more comfortable bringing your family and kids down because there was more around, and it really just transformed the culture of the footy club, and it had a huge impact.
I think what Mika and the boys trained, because they were playing up in Wodonga, and they come and did a lot of competitive stuff with us, and it was actually funny. I've never seen, when we do like the square stuff and all that, I've never seen so many people outside stretching their hammies when we were in there. I was one of them. And that's where we were probably nice to each other. They brought in that mentality. What we do at training, you bring into a game, and I think that sort of changed our persona as a club, because I reckon we used to go to teams and they would push us around a bit, and then that year we had Billy and a few others that could throw their weight around, but then we went to another level when Mika and those guys started bullying other teams. I shouldn't say bully, but they started pushing them around, and Shane Tennant, probably arguably one of the best, most courageous players I've ever seen, but I think that's where it changed it personally. So
I totally agree with you, because you saw guys grow in other leagues. So guys like Billy Morrison, found that extra support. They weren't solely relied on to be that enforcer on the ground. They knew when those guys came down that if he went and stepped up, then he had that support behind him. So, but I'm with you. I remember going to one of the first training sessions. The boys came down, and we thought we were a chance of really getting them across to the club. That our boys were still a little bit tentative in the way that we attacked each other in training. And I remember, I still this day, I remember stopping a drill out at circles and going, "You've just got to, boys, stop, just stop being nice to each other. You've got to get in, do what Mika and Dibs and Dogger and Tenno were doing." And I remember standing in the drill, and I'm not sure if it was Mika or Tenno, but one of them just absolutely nailed me because I had to try to prove a point, and I regretted it because it hurt, but I couldn't show it. But I think that just opened the guys' eyes up to, okay, well, this is how we've got to attack. If we're serious about where we're going and what we've got to do, that's the lead we've got to follow. And it totally transformed the culture of the club, and we've never looked back really.
Yeah. My hammy got tight, and I actually had to go and get a rub while that was on.
That doesn't surprise me.
Been's pretty success has been your way when it comes to football in the last let's talk decade. You played 5 grand finals out of 10 for a start. You're number 7 on the list of all coaches in the last 20 years, which is fantastic as well. You're the longest serving coach in the Eastern Football League. You barracked for Richmond. They've been going well. Donny Easter playing grand finals, winning back-to-back. Last speech, you went to talk football. What are your interests that you have outside of football that the fans and the like might not know about, Steve Buckle?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's too many things that people don't know about me. It's after a few beers, I do have tendencies to, I suppose, spruik myself, as most people do. But no, look, I like to think I'm a pretty good family man outside of footy, and most of my time outside of footy is spent with family and friends, because I think that's basically what everything should revolve around. It's footy takes up so much of your life, and I've been doing it for so long, and Tara's been a super support network for me. And, my kids have been very patient with it all, and I've had to sacrifice a lot, and they've sacrificed a lot. So, you know, when you can, you put that time back in. I'm not trying to, put myself as a martyr, far from it. And I stuff up with the best of them. So. I get carried away with the best of them, but outside of footy, it's basically all family and mates, and putting your time where that deserves.
Yeah, fantastic. Is a few more little bits inside. Favourite TV show?
Seinfeld.
Of all time?
Of all time.
Beautiful. That's one of my all-time favourites as well.
Absolutely.
How about you, Pete?
Favourite AFL player of all time?
Dusty Martin.
Dusty Martin.
Yeah. It used to be Barry Rawlings when I was a kid. The old number 22. Yeah, used to love Barry Rawlings. But yeah, that changed when Dusty came along, and it's just great. He's a superstar.
How about locally? Best you've played with, best you've coached?
Wow.
Stump. Brad Bird. In Wodonga.
Yeah. Individually, I'll tell them that.
Yeah.
They're all the best when I speak to them one-on-one. It was always great to watch Shane Tennant play.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anybody be able to put himself in situations the way he did and never come off second best. And I suppose it's the old adage that the harder you go, the person who goes the hardest is the one who gets least hurt, and that never ran truer than it did with Tenno. Mika is probably one of the best of, and longevity and consistency.
Yep.
I reckon we've heard the word Mika about 8 times already on this first episode.
Yeah, that speaks volumes.
That's it.
It speaks volumes to him. It's
my all-time favourite.
I've never seen somebody put a team on his back the way he did against Knox in a grand final, and just when you're 40 odd points down, you can put in a solid performance like that and get you back to within a point or 2 points. That's probably a game I remember.
If he had done a bit more, we could have won though.
Yeah, well, I think he actually missed a goal. So while he played well, I still blame him for that loss. But those two would be two of the better ones. One of the best players I've ever played with, and probably not a name that's recognisable around local footy, but Anthony McKenzie, who was my assistant coach in the first year that I played. That I coached Donny East. He was a quality player, and like I said, people wouldn't know too much of him because he was one of those guys who's just gets lost in local footy. That could have played a lot higher, but just stayed at the club he loved and stayed at St Leo's playing in lower divisions. But yeah, he was courageous. He was skillful, and great leader too.
When we talk rivalries, you've played coached against a couple of divisions now. Let's take away the premierships. Your most favourite game, because there's one club that I think that might come out here.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's I suppose that rivalry only built over the last couple of years, and I dare say their fans and supporters had a fair bit to do with that, as well as after-match interviews. If they ever beat you at their ground, had a fair bit to do with it. So beating Croydon's always a good one, and to be able to come back and knock them off in the second semi to get straight to the granny last year was sensational. When they thought they had the game won, and we stole it from them. Basically, to be fair, we probably didn't deserve to win, but we stole it from them in the last 30 seconds, 40 seconds of the game, and that was a great win, and very, very, very satisfying from all the abuse I was copying from over my shoulder for all day. And I think that's one of the only days I've ever jumped back over the fence and turned to the crowd and given it to them as well, which I thought was going to come back to bite me on the arse on grand final day. But I turned to their crowd and gave them a bit. But we've put up with a fair bit from Croydon over the years, and we were their whipping boy for a long time when I first got to the club, and they took great pleasure in taking us upstairs to their club when they beat us, and they'd interview the coach after the game and throw some pretty I suppose pretty loaded questions at you that you couldn't really answer the way you wanted to. So it was always good to get one back on them, especially in a big game like that.
Absolutely, huge.
Bucks, how many years have you been at Donny East now? Is this your 7th going into?
Yeah, seventh now.
Do you think you'll ever need a challenge higher? Is that your aim, to go higher as a coach? I mean, obviously, personally, we don't want that because we want you at Donny East, but is that the aim, or...?
Look, I think initially that was my goal, and I suppose this might sound bad coming out, but it was always to use as a stepping stone, and if I could get Donny East into Premier, then that might hopefully be a stepping stone into maybe VFL and then something else. I think maybe with having a family and a little bit too far away, and maybe not something that I'm reaching for anymore. It's more about trying to stabilise and try to do as much as I can for the club I'm at in Doncaster East. And 7 years here, I'd love to turn into 10, 15, however long it takes, and however long Tara will let me do it for it. We've we always said in that meeting that we sat in that it was a five-year plan to get us to Premier Division. We got to Premier Division in 6, but that was only because of the restructure. So we won that flag in 5 years, and so yeah. Look, now we're in Premier. I'd love that opportunity to make a success and have sustainability in there and be one of the powerhouses of the EFL. And if that lasts 1 year more, great. If it lasts 10 years more, fantastic. But it's I'll be guided by the club and yourself and by that. And when the time's up, and whether or not I pull the pin after that is another thing.
Great, Bucksy. I think it's been an awesome interview. People find out a lot more than seeing you up in the rooms after a game, after a loss, telling you what you've done wrong.
Or on the balcony.
On the balcony, yeah, one or the other. And when you've won, trying to buy you a beer and telling you that you're their best mate and you got him here and all that sort of stuff. Glenn Bird.
Yeah.
Glenn Bird texted me and said, I was the one who chose him to coach in when we had that. I said, of course you'll claim it on your birdie.
I hear that quite often. But no, look, I was very, very lucky to get the opportunity. It's 6-7 years ago. So look, I can't thank the club enough for what they've done for me personally. It's never been one-way traffic. It's whatever I've needed, I've always had the support and I suppose dedication from the club to give me whatever I needed. So I can't be thankful enough to be where I am. I just hope we all get the chance to experience Premier Division together.
I might say as well, being part of the EFL media team, that you represent the club so well, the respect that everyone in our team has for you, and we know other clubs do as well. You're one of the rare coaches that will come on after a grand final loss and chat. You'll go into other teams' rooms and pump them up after your heart has been broken as well. So kudos to you, mate. You are the super coach, and we just can't wait to get out onto the bloody park and play some Premier League football. Hey?
I hope so, Benny. I hope so, mate.
Great stuff. We'll see you soon.
Good on you, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks, Hazza.
Bucksy.
Thanks, guys.
First episode of the Pride of the East, and we've had a great time, haven't we? People, we've saved the best to last.
That's for sure.
One of our favourite sons, my favourite player, Micah Stevens. And I tell you, well, Micah, everyone in the league knows about you, mate, because you scare the life out of everybody, and you're a heart and soul of this football club for a number of years now. So welcome to the Pride of the East, and we want to learn a little bit more about you tonight. See maybe the softer side, because everyone sees you as the tough guy on the field, but I reckon underneath those layers, there's a kind young man in amongst you. What do you reckon?
Thanks for having me, Benny. Yes, 100% there is, mate. Yeah, definitely. So ask away, and I shall not hide anything.
Well, I'm going to throw straight over to the, of course, our president of Doncaster East, Pete Sasby, because he's dying to ask a couple little nuggets.
So it's let's wind it back, as you'd say, Benny.
Yep.
Where did it all start? You played basketball more so when you were a kid, is that right?
Yeah. So basketball was the number one sport. It took me to probably the ripe age of 21 to realise that probably wasn't the sport for me. So
did you play footy or not?
Yeah, I used to play sort of junior footy every second year, and basketball was the number one. Junior footy was just to sort of play with schoolmates in between and keep the appetite up. And then I think I was 20, maybe 21. I did a year of senior footy at Montmorency and a year playing ABA basketball for Eltham. And obviously at a young age, and my body was just like cooked till sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you'd play footy Saturday morning, basketball Saturday night, basketball sometimes Sunday. So after 1 year of doing that, just realised that footy was probably the way to go. Obviously, the social sides of footy was a lot better than the basketball functions, and the rest is history. Sort of basketball took a back seat no longer, and footy was it.
So you didn't say that you weren't playing the next basketball season 700 times like you do down.
No. I never wanted to be needed like that, but now, yeah. But no to that, Benny, thank you.
How many years were you senior footy at Monty?
Probably would have played 5 years senior at Monty.
And
4 or 5, yeah.
You guys were a bit like Donny East back in the day. Like you struggled, you had good size, but you struggled to win flags.
Yeah,
right?
very very similar. We had a year where we went unbeaten the whole year and went out in straight sets. We had years where we finished second and went out in straight sets. I think I might have won one final at Monty in the 5 years, but always had that top tier team and then the calibre of players around us. But it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Any ex-AFL players or anything like that you played with?
Played with a few. The best noted, and probably still to this day the best player I'd ever played with, Mark McGough, Possum as the Collingwood boys know him. Yeah. He was an absolute freak of nature. We got him straight out the AFL. And he'd get the ball in the centre of the ground and literally had 2.5 minutes to decide what to do it. Yeah. Oh, I get it, and kick it inside out, torpedo out on the full. But he was the ex-AFL player. A lot of just sort of really good local footy players we had at Monty. We had VFL players come down from Adelaide to play, but never took the chocolates.
Yeah. And then you went to Wodonga.
Wodonga Raiders. Yep. Had 2 years up there.
In and out throughout. Did you live up there, or were you?
Just commuted up there. Yeah. So we'd drive up normally the Friday night, or one of the boys that I went up with, Dean Giles, his old man would drive us up Saturday morning. We'd play, then we'd cram for 4 hours on the way home. So 2 years up there.
Counting you out of your brown paper bag as well.
Well, we had a caravan that used to tow the money, so which we paid for with our money.
With the boat. Yeah. And how did it come about going up to Wodonga Raiders?
Dean Limback, obviously, he was sort of the prized possession around local footy around then, and they've been pestering him for years and years, and he obviously doesn't mind the dollar. So he said, I'm not going up there without a couple of friends, so we'll sort of the knives and forks to the crockery set. So he said, I want him, and we ended up coming up, and 2 years later, and don't regret it. I regret one thing from it. The year we left Montmorency to go play at Wodonga, Montmorency made the grand final. They were up by 40 points at three-quarter time and ended up losing the grand final by 9 points. Yeah. And I feel if we had stayed that extra year, we probably would have won the flag. Not saying definitely, obviously, but would have been a chance, and that could have been like another thing you could have sort of hung on your belt and said, I won that flag at the club that I played my juniors with, and I had a lot of ties with. It's 2 minutes from my home to this day. My son will probably end up playing there. So that would have been nice, but apart from that, there's absolutely nothing that I hold resentment in going up to the bush.
Did you win both best and fairest when you went up there, or one?
No, second best and fairest first year, and then won the BNF the year after. So.
Okay, so after the first year, went from the caravan to the Winnebago.
Pretty much, yeah. After I kneecapped the bloke that won the first BNF. I took the second one away, which was nice, but I mean, it was in a struggling team, so not taking that away from myself, but yeah.
And the draw card back to Melbourne is down to Doncaster East.
Number 7 coach in Victoria, mate. Stephen Bloody Buckle. Obviously, he's my brother-in-law. That's probably why he gives me good shout-outs here and there. But he had his first year of senior coaching, and then we were looking to come back, and we had a bit of a draw card because there was me, Dean Giles, Dean Limback, and Shane Tennant from Montmorency, who's not a bad collective group of players when you put it on paper. So we sort of come back and we had a meeting with Michael Gordon, was president at the time, Michael Gordon and Pete Dwyer. And we just sort of snowballed a few numbers, then we times it by pi, and we come down, which ended up being, it was a great result. Like, we enjoyed our time there. The boys moved on to different avenues and different football careers, and I've stuck fat, obviously, but I could not fault where I've ended up going and what I now call my football home.
And Shane Tennant, you mentioned his name, absolute superstar, playing up at Mount Evelyn. Mount
Eliza.
Mount Eliza.
Yeah.
playing with him, I mean, you must have walked a bit taller, obviously.
Oh, 100%. He's second to none. He's in my team of the year or team of the decade, team of the century for any league that he's played in. He's undeniably the best centre half back in the league he's playing in now. He was in the league, the Northern Football League, and he was in the Eastern Football League. So that's 3 leagues that he's sort of spread his wings over, and you can't fault him as a person, as a football player, as anything. So he's right up there. Yeah.
When we watch you play football, you've got a reputation as being like a bit of a bull. You'll run through packs. You'll carry people on your shoulders as well. You talked about when you played basketball and football how it took you 4 days to recover when you were like 21 years old, and now as the time goes by, like how does your body recover from top level football? Because I tell you what, mate, you're still going really well.
Yeah,
and you must pull up sore. You must.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I recover to how long it takes me. But I definitely pull up absolute crap for probably Tuesdays.
Do you train through the week? How's it been?
Yeah, train, because I feel if I don't train on the Tuesday, then you're not doing something that someone else is doing. So you sort of feel like you're taking the easy route, or you're getting a bit older, so you're going to use that age excuse that you're not training because of your age. And I remember when I was younger and people would do that, I'd call bullshit on it. Mm-hmm. And I just don't, that doesn't fly with me. So I'm like, even if I go out on the track, and it's not like I run at the same pace as everyone anyway, so I'm always behind them, whether it be 5 metres or 10 metres. But the body pulls up sore, but I think you just got to adjust your living to it, and you get older and you become a lot smarter, and you just sort of you train to what you know you can do, and you might be doing something extra while you're missing out on something else. But definitely got to throw your hat in the bucket and make sure that you're still up with it.
You know how you stir the pot that you've like say, oh, this is my last season and this is my last game, the last couple of years when you've had to play the grand final. I want to know, is that because you're telling that to Leah so that then she lets you go on a 4-day bender after the grand final, but then your whole intention the whole time was you coming back the next year anyway?
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love the 4-day benders, 150%. But, literally, like, because my kids are getting older, my son's 6 now, my daughter's 3, I feel like the time gets taken away from them. So in my mind, I'm like, it's selfish of me to carry on with this if I'm taking my time away from them. But I sort of adjusted my mindset to, well, if I change how I work or how I activate or how I do gym during the week. If I do gym late at night once the kids are asleep, then I'm getting extra time with them. So then in my brain, I'm saying, okay, well, you can play footy because the time you're missing out there, you're making up there. So I think your brain tells you what you want it to, but you just sort of adjust your lifestyle to suit what you want to think. So it's still a head game. And
I'll tell you how it happens. We go to Yarrawonga as families each year. Leah, after day 2, tells me get into Mecca to play footy again, which most wives don't. We have a beer in the pool. Well, after 2 or 3 beers, he'll say, I'm playing again. The worst thing is the last few years he said, how much money are you getting paid? And I say, not much. Credit to him. He's played. It's never been, the last few years I can assure you, if you looked at, we don't tell anyone figures, but he's played, he'd be one of our least paid players, and that's absolutely honest. So he's put the club at first to win a couple of flags. I know he lost a couple straight up. I mean, that's not why I wind up him, but that's 100% right. But Leah's the best because she wants him to play.
She's very keen on getting me out of the house at any stage, so can't blame her either there. But and when you come from such a good football club and good people, and the hierarchy is good. It's not like there's a Don Mega Pete's president is one of my best mates, and so you go to the footy club, and as hard as it is getting up to go to training, once you're at training, you hang out with good people. Yeah. So it's a good part of your life as well. So to give up that, you're giving up a semi-part of your social life, and it's a great watering hole too. So
you've been part of that culture shift as well. You talked about the guys that came down and in that period when yourself did with your Tennant and Dogger and alike. It's you got to be proud of that, because for supporters that have been right through the good times, the bad, and hanging on and coming every week, it was a shift in the club at that moment when you came down, and ever since it's been building up to this really successful period, and it's just been, although maybe not going up the division, and where because of however restructures and whatnot, it's been so enjoyable as well. So you're still winning games, you win the atmosphere around the place. It's truly amazing. So hats off to you to that, and you need to be really proud about that, because you're an absolutely massive part of that.
it's hard to take it on board, like when you hear other people say your name and they put you into sort of pedigrees, you sort of brush it off because you never want to sort of take any of that fame. But yeah, I mean, if you sit back and reflect, we brought a good group of guys into an already good group of people that just needed a gear change. And I mean, and that happened. Like the talent was at East Doncaster. Apart from, like, we had
First warning, Doncaster East.
second warning. He won't be on next week. Like that. But I mean, Doncaster East, they had the cavalry, and we just sort of topped them up, and it was great to see. Like the boys were talking about, like the shift in their training after we come down, because it come from Shane Tennant. Like, can we swear on this, or do we get booted off?
No, keep it clean. Not like after the grand final on EFL Sunday last year.
That's why I had to ask. Cause, last time he cut me off, I still had a lot to say. But Shane Tennant come down, and I just remember him going, "Stuff this! I'm going to show these boys how to train." I just remember him nailing someone and me going, "Oh shit! Like, I'm glad that wasn't me." And literally from that point on, you just saw them change. And we only trained with them once a week, once a fortnight. And then we chose to go down to that club, obviously the following year, and people just trained harder. They did this, they did that, whether it be they wanted to impress someone or they just wanted to self-better themselves, but there were spots to be fighted over. Like, there was no more just coasting through, and I don't know, the team just lifted, and from there it's been a winning formula. Like, I don't know what the stats would be over the last 5 years at East Doncaster.
We play finals every year there.
Every year. Well, our first.
But the people forget we lost 2 before you won 2.
Yeah.
4 grand final appearances.
4 grand finals, and I think 5 years you've been there. So
Yeah,
exactly
exactly
right. Been
right.
smooth sailing. We did lose a couple, but obviously the last 2 years. Now let's go off field and get a bit deep. Unfortunately, you lost your old man. About how long ago was that?
It'd be 9 years this
9 years, and
July.
you're one of my best mates, so I know you're always upbeat. But obviously, him dying tragically must have been a huge thing for you and the family. Obviously, your mum.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was pretty surreal, and obviously still is now to this day. Like, still like very forefront of my mind every day. But got home from work one day as a 25-year-old, still living at home, and just chilling out. And Mum got home, and I said, "Oh, where's Dad?" She said, "Where's Dad?" And I said, "Oh, he's not home from work yet." And she said, "He didn't have to work today." And she just literally got the shopping bags, rushed down the back of the house, and I was like, "Fuck, what's going on?" Like, followed her down, and unfortunately, there he was. He's passed away. He'd had a heart attack in the bedroom. So, yeah, that was pretty crappy time. So that was having to call your sister and your brother and say, "Listen, blah blah." Obviously, the nitty gritties of it wasn't nice.
And on a positive, you met Leah the same year. Is that right?
I'd met Leah the weekend before, and I was supposed to be taking her out for her first, which is my now wife. With got 2 beautiful kids with her. Supposed to be taking her out to an Afghanistan restaurant on that Wednesday night, but I had to message her at 4 o'clock in the arvo and say, "Listen, can't make it. Something's come up." And she goes, "Yeah, no worries."
Yeah.
That unbeknownst to her that this had happened. And probably 24, 48 hours later, I needed a bit of sympathy. So I'm like, "Hey, can you check my Facebook?" And she did, and she came over. So she came over straight away and legitimately didn't leave my side until 9, 10 years later. So.
And I mean, sounds a bit corny, but your old man Pete, I never met him obviously because we've only become close since you've been at Donny East. We'd be extremely proud of the man you become and the footy player you come, but more so the bloke and the friend and everything else you brought to Donny East, but more so a friendship to most people you meet. You walk around the footy club. Well, I know you like being a bit of the hero, but you're a big soft teddy bear a lot of the time. Yeah. So I think what you've done for Donny East Footy Club and everything you've done, mate, you should be extremely proud of your footy career, off field, on field. And thanks for coming on tonight, mate.
No,
really appreciate it.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it, boys.
Absolute legend. You going to play this year?
This year or next year?
This year.
Yeah, no, I was always signed up to play this year, and then I reckon I'll play next year, because if I'm going to stop playing footy, it'll be on my own accord, not from a global pandemic.
Fair call.
I reckon Dave Sowers might have wanted to get me off the list, so he started this COVID-19, but that's up for debate still. We'll find out, Davey.
Hey, mate, you're an absolute legend. Just before we go, Bucksy, best coach you ever played under? This is where you can say no.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how many games I'll get if I don't say that. Well, yeah, it's been a bit different, obviously, because sort of Whitey's been coaching this year. No, that's tongue in cheek. Bucky's definitely the best coach I've played under. Not just saying that from a personal perspective, but he's the only coach that that gets players. He hangs out with players. He speaks to players. He coaches his mates. He doesn't coach. It's not his super coach team. You know, like other clubs, they get someone in and they pay him $60,000 and move their minions around. Sorry, I said the F word. Bucksy moves his friends around. He does well. So yeah, hats off to him with that. And he's the onwards and upwards.
Hey, you're an absolute superstar, mate. You should have won a couple of league best and fairest in the EFNL. Daylight robbery, as far as I'm concerned, along there. But we love watching it. You're a star.
Yeah, no, thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
Well, what a show! I tell you what, the pride of the East. Look, it's been a long show, but we had to start with all the all-time favourites. We had to give you an update of what's been happening down at the Den. I'm already looking forward to the next time, Pete. I tell you what, you've always said you might have been all right on the media. You've absolutely killed it tonight, mate.
Thanks, Benny. Yeah, well, the way real estate's going, I mightn't have a choice.
But this is only week one of several to come, and we'll throw it out there now. And whenever it decides to come up, you'll see it on all your social media feeds. But we've got Lions Legacies, which is going to be another show that we're doing where we're talking to the favourite sons of the Doncaster East Football Club, and there's a big name that's going to be our first guest.
Lee Murphy, arguably, if not the club's greatest player, 6-time best and fairest, 2-time premiership player. So we're looking forward to that. As you said, it'll be on all our social media, and we'll be doing this for the rest of the year. Hopefully not in my lounge room, because Alex will divorce me. Hopefully at the club. So
yeah, she's been great letting us in here, but we'll get down to the club very soon.
Makes a good cuppa, old Alex.
Oh, very good, very good. Almost due for another one, I think. So, fantastic stuff. Hope you all enjoyed, Pete.
Cheers,
Can't wait till next time, buddy.
See you, mate.